Hi everyone, and welcome back to my series where I'm talking to my favourite people in the world of trampoline, tumbling and double mini. Today I'm joined by European Tumbling Champion and World Games tumbling medalist, Lucie Colebeck. Hi Lucie, how are you?
Hey, I'm good, thanks. How are you?
Are you enjoying being back in the UK for lockdown?
I very much am. So yeah, I'm definitely miss the fresh air of England, but it's really good to be home.
Yeah, do you even know when you're going to go back? Is there a kind of an open date for Cirque again? No?
We have no idea really. I think they plan on opening the Vegas shows first, just because touring shows people have all gone home. So I think for pure kind of simplicity, because obviously Vegas shows are resident shows, everyone's going to be there. So I think it's the right thing to do to open them shows up first. But in terms of when, we're not entirely sure.
So are you just going to hold out, or have you got plans that you're maybe going to stay around the UK for a little bit longer?
Not really, if I'm honest. I mean, yeah, we plan on staying here until kind of we get called back, which will hopefully be soon.
Okay.
Like I said, we're not sure, but yeah, I'm enjoying being back home, but I do miss it a lot.
Yeah, when you get used to being on the road, it's tough to come back to be with your mum and dad, I'd say.
Yeah, I know. But
right, I'm going to start talking, getting some questions in, because I just want to talk about your career. You've obviously had a very successful career in the world of tumbling, and I just want to kind of delve into it and know a bit more about it. So I just want to start from the very, very beginning. How did you get into gymnastics in general?
So I actually was a keen swimmer me and my family, like my brother and my sisters, we all started from the age of about 4. And we did that through until kind of early teenage years or kind of, 15, 16. And I was about 8 or 9 years old, and my swimming coach kind of said, I really enjoyed swimming. It was kind of like, if I didn't do gymnastics, it'd be swimming that would choose to do. And then my swimming coach said, okay, you're not really going to get anywhere in swimming because, just
That's nice.
Yeah. Oh, okay. Like, kind of like, a bit of a heartbreaker. But they said to either go and try diving or gymnastics. So I did try diving, and I enjoyed it. But then I tried out gymnastics, just a recreational class, and it was so fun. I really enjoyed it and kind of went from there, really.
How old were you when you started there?
I must have been about 8.5 or 8. I only spent a couple months in recreational class, and I moved over to team gym, and I was there for about 18 months before I moved over to tumbling.
Were you kind of talent spotted for tumbling? Because I know Bob is kind of known for looking at the groups there and going, I want her, him.
Yeah, so kind of a funny story actually. It was during a summer camp. Team gym, we were training. I mean, honestly, I wasn't very good at team gym. Like, I was only really good at the tumbling side of it. And we were messing about on trampoline, and Vov had recently moved from Milton Keynes down to Pinewood. And he was like the scary Russian man. Like, everyone kind of like stayed away, especially in the team gym, everyone stayed away from him. And I just saw him coming up to trampoline, and I thought, oh God, oh God, oh God. And he ended up approaching me and just saying kind of like, oh, he started off coaching me a little bit. And I remember all the other team gym girls were like, oh God, like he's coaching Lucie. Yeah, and he just said, like, I remember his words, he said, if you move over to tumbling, then I can make you like the next best thing.
Oh, wow. Big, bold statement.
A very bold statement. So me, I was like, oh, okay. And tried it for a couple of weeks and ended up loving it and being there.
Did you give up team gym after that?
I did, yeah. I was young, and I'd just gotten on with all these girls and created like a really good bond with them. So I was kind of a bit, I don't want to leave the fun side of team gym, because when I looked at tumbling and Charlie Burrows and Sean Gregory and all those kind of big names that trained at Pinewood, it was very, very full on. It wasn't kind of, there was a fun aspect, but I didn't see that, there was a lot of shouting, a lot of like serious training. So for me, I didn't want to lose the fun aspect. But then I met a girl called Emily, and she was in tumbling at the time. And yeah, I just kind of thought, what the heck, let's just move. Let's just go.
What was it like when you got into it? Was it a lot more fun on the inside than it appeared from looking out?
It really was, yeah. It was so much fun. Back in when I first started, it was literally just, you had all the senior tumblers that maybe, I don't know, 5 to 10 senior tumblers, and then there was only really me and Emily that were the two the two juniors, I guess. So it was pretty much one-to-one training for a long time. And some days it was really tough and really hard, but Vov let us have kind of like, he always said, 15 minutes at the end of the session, you can have your fun time, you can do what you want, just be careful. So he made sure that there was still a fun aspect within the training.
Yeah, do you think if it had been as strict as it looked like, would you have lasted?
I don't know. I think yes and no, because I since a young age, I've always loved a challenge. And, when someone says kind of like, I bet you can't do this, my head, I'm thinking, I can do it. So yeah, I think because Vov was so strict and he also loved a challenge. And as I got older, I learned that, like, I saw that, when he has a challenge and there's a light bulb that switches on in his head, he just loves it. And he, it's for him, it's like, there's kind of like fire rush going through his body. And for me, that made it really fun as well. So like, if I do something right, he then gets like a kind of like, woo. Yeah.
I've heard of talking a lot, and he's really technical and his brain is amazing. That type of thing. What was he like at transferring that through to a 10-year-old kid? Like, could you always pick up on what he was trying to talk about?
Sometimes yes, sometimes no. He actually, I always remember this one thing. I can't remember what it was for, but he is very, very technical, which is, can be difficult, can be okay to understand. But I always remember there was this one thing. Like I said, I can't remember what kind of, it might be for a whip, I'm not sure, something very, very basic. And the way he described it was, how does a chicken eat food? And I was thinking, what? Like, 10-year-old, like, I don't know, I've never seen a chicken, I'm not sure. And he held his hand out, and all he did was kind of like, just like move your nose towards that. And I think like I said, I can't remember what it was for, but it was something to do with, I have to move forward and then go backwards. And for me, that has always stuck in my head. So, and when I was working at the gym as well, hearing him try to simplify what is going on in his head, he actually does it really well, considering English is a second language. And for someone to be so technical and then try and simplify it, quite tricky, but he's very good.
Yeah, he's obviously, because his results are amazing. And you're listening to him, you go, okay, I know what you're saying, but I was wondering what a kid would react, because I've seen a lot of coaches over the years not be able to communicate that, but he obviously does it really successfully.
Yeah.
And when did he get you? What was your first competition like? How long were you in the program before he put you into a competition?
We did a couple of like kind of like inter-house competitions that kind of like no names, but then my first competition was the British Championships in Stoke-on-Trent in 2007.
That was your first comp?
Yeah.
Wow.
I know. I'm pretty sure it was anyway. That's from what I remember. And I actually, it didn't go so well. I think I made it to the finals, or I didn't make it to the final, I'm not sure. But anyway, I stopped on one of my routines. The routine was meant to be Barani, whip flick, 2 whips, 2 flick, full twist. And I stopped after the first whip, so I went Barani, stop. I don't know why, I just did. And then later on, I realised that was the trial for this is how little I knew. I didn't even know that was a trial for the World Championships in, was it Quebec, I think?
Yeah, it would have been Quebec. So you would have been 11, 12 age group.
Yeah, 11 to 12, yeah. I didn't even know that was a trial. I kind of just like rocked up and was like, okay, it's a different track, it's a different gym, I'll just train.
Were you, like, had you been thinking about international before that? Like, were you disappointed then when you found out that it was a trial and you weren't going to be going?
No, I didn't even know. So, and I think what made it even easier for me, I didn't know anyone on the team either. So everyone going off on this competition for Great Britain didn't bother me, because I didn't feel like I was missing out on anything.
Yeah. Were you aware though of Vov's background in international, and like how big he was and what he had produced?
Not at all. Literally, like, not at all. And we, Anne Bidmead actually worked at Pinewood. Kind of, her and Vov overlapped before she moved to Basingstoke. And I remember her saying that Vov is like, he's had really good gymnasts in the past. And I did hear of, kind of like Sam Palmer, I think Megan Green and Connor. There are a couple others from Milton Keynes. But yeah, I never knew really until kind of my first international that I thought, wow, he's amazing.
And so after you've done the British Championship and you realise it is a trial, did that again spur you to start thinking, maybe I want to go international, maybe I want to do the next world age?
Yeah, definitely. When I kind of like figured out what it was and people had information, and a lot of people from Pinewood went to that World Championships that year. And when they came back and they were telling all the stories, oh, we did this, we did that, I was a bit like, oh, like, okay, this isn't just a competition. This is actually it sounds quite fun. I want to do it. So yeah, then I kind of like spent the rest of the year training. They didn't have any competitions until the November or December that year, and that was a British tournament. And then I come first in that. So I guess like working the year and then
Yeah.
doing that.
Did you get invited to like a national squad at that stage, like before you kind of went to World Age and stuff?
I don't think so. No, not that I can remember anyway. I think it was after the British tournament where I then won, and then that following year in the January when the new squad started, I think that's when I got invited.
So that would have been 2008, would it?
Mm-hmm. Yeah.
So you were in the squad. Were you competing internationally at small internationals with the squad in the next kind of couple of years?
The first international I had was in Portugal, and it was the Lule Cup, and I think that was around September of 2008. I think around that time. And yeah, that was.
How did you do?
I came first.
Yeah. Did it open your eyes a bit to what was out there?
Yeah, it really did, and it was really cool because at that time it was such a small international that you actually competed for your club, so it'd be Primary Gymnastics Club, Great Britain, and there's all the other clubs there that I must have done a squad at that point because I knew all the other clubs, Richmond, Basingstoke, Wakefield. So to kind of have my first international and interact with all the other clubs and countries as well was really, really nice.
Yeah, because it doesn't really happen that much anymore, the club internationals.
No,
you get one, but I think they've kind of pulled it back a bit in terms of what you can go to. Did you think that was beneficial doing a club one before you competed for Great Britain?
I think I was so kind of like, at this point I knew what international was, but I was still so, I think if at that point I competed for Great Britain, it wouldn't have fazed me because I didn't quite know how big of a deal it was.
Okay.
So yeah, that's kind of like, yeah, I think it just kind of, everything just went like, when I was younger, all I remember is just kind of like, okay, it's just a different track. I'm looking at a different landing map, but I just have to do the routine. It wasn't, when I was younger, it was never like a mental game for me.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So going into 2009, was that your aim then, was to make the World Age team?
Yes. When I then knew about it, 2009 was my kind of aim.
So can you remember, what was it like when the announcement came out and your name's up on the website or?
I think I must have been at school. I think when I came home, my mum told me, and I was like, whoa, like, no way, that's really cool. Wow. So yeah, it's kind of like, again, just kind of like a kid, oh, you're going to this competition in Russia. And I was like, cool. Like, it wasn't like, oh my gosh, I'm competing for Great Britain. It was still just like an unknown thing for me.
Was Yazzie around at that stage? Yasmin around at that stage? Because she's the same age, isn't she? Would she have been in your group?
She didn't move over until after the World Championships in 2009. She did come throughout that year, but Vov said, look, I'm focusing on the World Age groups. If you want to move over, then you come after that period of time. So I think she must have arrived around either the end of 2009 or the beginning of 2010.
So you went into 2009, where you, obviously it didn't go quite to plan. You came 26th. What happened?
I don't know, really. I think there are a lot of things. I'm trying to think. 2009, that was Russia. So I can't remember. I was meant to be doing whip twist to full in tuck and round off twist to full in pike. And I remember as I got older and Vov had the conversation with me, a lot of coaches said that Vov, why is Lucie doing 2 twist transitions? She doesn't need to, like, that's really risky. But I'd grown up doing twist transitions all the time. So for me, it wasn't a big deal. And there was definitely something on my mind out of the competition. That's what it was. So we had, I think it was 2-touch warm-up maybe, or 1-touch, I don't know, 2-touch. And I'd recently just had my braces off and I still had my retainer in. And I thought, oh my God, why have I got my retainer in? I don't need it in. So I was panicking about that. I think I was thinking so much about it that I remember presenting very vividly, kind of like I can picture the judge now. And I presented and just like, I don't know what happened. I just like just started running, just went completely blank. And then all I remember is presenting and then presenting at the end. I don't really remember anything in between that. I remember stopping in the middle of the track, and it wasn't even the middle, it was so close to the middle that I had to turn around to the judges and present again. And I remember turning around and thinking, damn, like, what have I just done? And I think that for me was when I was like, oh God, like, being getting chosen to compete for Great Britain is probably a big deal. I think I'm going to get really told off. And then Vov didn't tell me off. He kind of just thought, I think he had a look as well, like, you've never done that. Like, I don't think I've ever done it in training either. He was kind of like, what the hell just happened? And then I'd been working on doing a full tuck, but we weren't going to do it at that competition, even though we had done it in training a lot. We were just going to kind of play safe with full tuck and full pike, and then if we made it to the final, see if we had to use it. And Vov just kind of looked at me and just said, right, do you want to do full, like, prove you are someone? And I was like, yeah, okay. Like, for me, it was, again, like, it was a new skill, but I was like, yeah, okay, let's just do it. I haven't trained it, but like, I haven't trained it in this arena. Okay. And I did round off twist to full tuck, and I remember presenting, and even the judges' faces were a bit like,
what the hell? Because back then, even now, I suppose, 13, 14 age group, full is a big skill.
Yeah. And I remember, and Vov was so happy. And I also remember him, he introduced me to Vasily at that time. And I didn't know who that was. I was like, oh, just another Russian coach. Like, okay. And he shook my hand and he said it in Russian. Vov translated it for me and just said, like, that was amazing. You're going to be something. You're going to be someone if you keep doing tumbling.
Did that stick with you?
Yeah, definitely. Like, I remember kind of standing there as a little girl, kind of like, Vov, who's this? I want to go see my mum. I probably want to go and get a packet of crisps or something. I don't know. But when I then figured out who Vasily was, and obviously like what impact he has on tumbling, I was like, oh my God, I put two and two together and thought, wow.
Yeah,
like,
that's a big deal.
When I was younger, he thought I was going to be something good. That competition was, even though it was bad, it was very much an eye-opener for me.
Was that your first introduction to the world of trampoline as well? Because I think tumbling was still with acro.
Yes. Still with acrobatics. That and DMT. And I was really, really fascinated by it, and kind of, what the hell is this? Like, I knew obviously I knew there was a thing called trampolining, but I didn't know kind of
exactly
what it was.
It was a bit daunting, because obviously you got to know the tumblers over here. But then all of a sudden you've got all these trampolinists, all these DMT gymnasts that all know each other, but you're probably like, oh my gosh, who are these people?
Yeah, I remember having a team meeting, I think just as we got to Russia, kind of like, the rules of don't do this in the hotel, don't do that, you're not allowed to do this. And there was so many of us, I couldn't believe it. I was like, oh my God, there's not just the squad that we've been in, like you said, in tumbling, there's literally like hundreds of us. That was like, and that everyone's, in their appropriate jacket and kind of all suited and booted. And I was like, whoa, okay, this is...
Did you mix much with the other team? Or the rest of the
I think I remember a little bit, not so much, but I remember when we were watching everyone else, I think I interacted with the older tumblers who interacted with the trampolinists and the DMT. So kind of like through them.
So going on after that, obviously then you've got a bit of a taste now for international performance, and you probably, especially after the full and all that thing, you probably wanted to prove yourself. So got on to the Europeans in 2010 in Varna. Obviously you qualified. Do you remember that journey over, because you couldn't fly?
That was hell. It was hell. Well, I was a kid, so it wasn't hell for me. But I can imagine the bus driver and the coaches. Oh my gosh, I don't even want to think how they felt. But that was when I really started to interact with the DMT and the trampolinist, because
you had to.
I was on a coach, you had to, yeah. But that was really fun. I remember we stopped off at a chocolate factory in Belgium. We stopped off in Germany, I think. That was interesting. And I remember when we got the call saying that, we're no longer going. And then about 2 hours later, it was on the call, if you want to go, we're going on a coach. And I thought, cool, let's go on a coach. This is going to be fun.
That's definitely a good way to get to know people. And spend that much time with them. You kind of have to get to know them, don't you?
Yeah, definitely. It was. I really enjoyed that trip. I'm so glad that I went on it.
And obviously, when you got there, you qualified into the final in first place. Was that a shock for you, or were you kind of?
I think the main reason why that was a shock for me is because obviously juniors is under 18, so I kind of went into it knowing that, oh wow, I'm like one of the youngest here. Let's just kind of like treat it as another international to get experience. And yeah, when I qualified in first, I was like, whoa, like, okay, this is cool.
You did the final though. You did the final. Obviously, you end up with second place. Obviously, it's your first international. Well, your first major international medal. Did it feel like a bit of a disappointment that you didn't get the gold, or were you just ecstatic about the silver medal?
No, I was like, I can't remember. I think because that Victoria Danilenko won that year. Yeah. And I don't remember what she did in the prelims, but I remember in the final she did round off double pike, whip flick, double pike, or no, double tuck, and then double pike. So,
oh, wow.
Well, she did one or two transitions, and I remember looking at it like, wow, like that's something I want to do. Like, why is she doing a double in the middle again? I didn't even know what a transition was, apart from a twisting transition. So that is still kind of like how young and how fresh I was to the tumbling, era.
So just happy to.
Yeah, oh, definitely. And I was like, I was over the moon. I kind of like, got the medal, and it was really, really good. And my family came as well. I'm sure they ended up flying actually.
They got over.
It was really nice, and I was very, very happy with that.
Was that your first experience of a team final as well?
Yes, it was. That was interesting. I felt really. It's going to sound silly, but I felt really part of a team. Okay. I guess obviously the previous couple of years, when you're in a tumbling competition, it's natural to just do it by yourself. But I was so new to it, and Craig was there obviously, and my coach, and they had so much energy as coaches. It kind of like, it really, really like kind of shed off on us. Okay. And it was really good. But we were a really young team. It was me, Emily, Gemma, who were all under the age of 14, and then a girl called Paige, who I think maybe at the time was 16. So we were all a very young team, and I remember, we really wanted to watch the team and who's going next, what did they do? But Craig pulled us around and said, no, you don't watch, like you stand here, you either listen to music or you just stand here and hold your ears like this. But so for me and Emily, it was a bit like, oh no, we want to watch, come on, I want to see if they're falling back or if they're doing well.
Did you know as well that the history that the junior girls team had at the Europeans, that they had won every one since 2004?
No, and that, like, I'm glad I didn't, because I think if I knew that, I'd be like, oh god, okay, like again, this is another big deal to think about.
At least you kept the tradition going. Yeah, and you stepped up, because you went from second. You were in second going into the final, and then you stepped up to first. So you obviously stood up in the final and made it count. So after that was the year, 2010 was the year that tumbling joined trampoline on a national level, and you became part of the British Championships in the National Indoor Arena in Birmingham. Yeah. Did that feel, was it good to have tumbling on that bigger stage? Because you moved probably from Fenton Manor to where you're running from outside.
I remember walking into that arena and being quite overwhelmed, and I guess in a way, when I was on the floor, it didn't feel too bad, because there were a lot of trampolines next to us. There was a DMT, it was just a track, so it didn't feel too big. But I remember sitting in the arena and thinking, like, I feel like I'm at a concert. It's that big.
It was huge.
Yeah. On the floor, it wasn't too bad, and again, just kind of tried to treat it as a normal kind of training session, I guess.
And so you won. You became British champion that year. Was that your first time British champion, or had you been British champion the year before that?
2008 I was British champion, and then 2009 as well. Are we in 2010 now? 2010
is the year they moved over. I couldn't find any results before 2010, because that's when you're macro, and there's just nothing online.
Really?
It's all the trampoline stuff since 2010 is all there, but I just couldn't find anything before that. So it was kind of like, you're not sure what went on. So were you aware then that obviously we were holding a home World Championships the following year, and it was going to be in that arena?
I think I knew that we were holding it, but I didn't know it was going to be in that arena. So then to later on find out, I thought, oh, I've competed there, that'll be cool. Like, that'll be easy.
Obviously going in 2011, and you're British champion again. Did all your family come up to Birmingham to watch the competition? when you in the World Championships?
Yeah, I had a lot of family come. I had kind of obviously my immediate family, like uncles, aunties, nan, grandpa, family, friends, friends of friends. Like it was, yeah. And then I think that made it a bigger deal for me because I had so many people watching me and I'd never had that before.
Did you feel more pressure or anything, or were you just excited?
I think I was excited because, again, like I was saying, when at a younger age, nothing for me was mentally. So the only thing I had to take into consideration was when I wake up, do I feel tired or do I feel good? And when you're a kid, majority of the time you wake up feeling fine. So for me, if I woke up feeling fine, I'd know it'd be a good day. And I mean, Vov had us practice our routines for like months and months before competitions. So it was literally quite like another day. It wasn't like we've only had 2 weeks of doing this program. We did it for months. So we were always very prepared.
I suppose after coming off 2009, where you didn't make the final, was your aim, or did you have any goals going into that? What was your goal? Was it just make final, or were you thinking about medals?
I don't remember thinking about medals at that point. Again, because like I said, the kind of only other big international medal I had was the Europeans, and that was for me under 18. So I knew that not that it was a fluke, because it wasn't. I worked hard, but it was I would have to work as hard to try and get a medal. So for me, the aim was just to prove myself, and I can do 2 runs and not stop, and I can maybe get to the final and see where it goes. So, yeah.
I love you. Do 2 runs and not stop.
Yeah.
If you listened, I said to you, I had an interview with Samantha Palmer, and her first European, she did the same thing. She did 3 skills and stopped. So the parallels between you.
Yeah.
And did it feel amazing when you made the final and then obviously won the final?
It did, yeah. It was. I'm pretty sure the final was on the same day, was it not?
Yeah, they're in the evening, so you beat qualification in the morning, you get final in the evening.
So yeah, I remember getting excited. Oh, I've got the final later. But then also kind of thinking, okay, no, just you're on that high at the moment. Make sure you kind of like preserve your energy and be sensible. Don't be too silly. Don't go eating sweets and whatnot. So
that's probably harder then, because obviously when you do major championships as a senior or even the junior Europeans, you do your prelims one day and then another day you do your final. You time to have the high, get yourself back grounded and build up again. Was it tough? Can you remember?
It was quite tough. Obviously, I'd never had it because I didn't make the final in the previous year. So yeah, to kind of like, and I remember coaches saying, look, be sensible. You still have the final later tonight. Don't eat anything too heavy for lunch, and just kind of like stuff like that. So for me, I was worried myself, but then also to get the kind of the talks off of the coaches made me a bit more concerned. So I did make sure that I was doing everything right. Did
you go and do the Europeans the following year? I couldn't find the results.
2012, yeah, that's in Russia.
And how'd you get on?
I came first.
Yay!
Yeah.
But obviously, you've obviously now come off second in the Europeans and then first at World Age. You must have started adjusting your goals to think about medals and not just finals.
Yeah, definitely. I think after the Birmingham one, I almost kind of had a realization that if I continue doing this sport, then I could actually be, I was coached by Sam Palmer's coach as well. So I always heard that name in the back of my head, and I always sort of like found out her results and that she was, this amazing tumbler. And to be compared to someone like that, I think for me was a lot of pressure, but then also it made me think that I can be as good as her one day. So that definitely made my goals kind of change over time. And yeah, I want to get medals. I don't just want to final. I want to get medals. I want to be at the top of the podium. So yeah, over time it definitely did.
So obviously going into 2013, you could have stayed in the junior category. You could have stayed 17 or whatever, or 17-21. It would have been even at that age. Was your plan always to go senior? I
think, yeah. I mean, I didn't get a say. I did get a say, but Vov always said, like when you hit 16, 17 in the year, we'll go straight to senior. You're good enough. So for me, because I'd been told I was good enough, I made sure that I kind of had the runs, I had the difficulty and the tariff to be able to go to senior straight away. So
was it hard after you've done the Europeans, probably in about April. You've got obviously the rest of that year and most of the following year to build up towards 2013 Worlds. Did you have to build up a lot of difficulty at that stage? Like, were you behind it all?
So in 2012, I actually already had. I was going to compete a transition, a double straight to double pike, but I didn't have to. So because of other people's difficulty wasn't as high, so we didn't in the end. We just kind of played safe. So I guess I spent the rest of that year perfecting that, and then also I changed the entry moves. So for Europeans, I would have done whip flick double straight to double pike, whereas I then learned round off flick and round off whip double straight. So that was quite an intense year actually. It was kind of, even though it's kind of just the same transition, learning it from different entry moves, and especially whip. I'd never ever done anything, not even a tuck back from a whip.
Oh,
So
really?
to learn a double from a whip, I was like, this is insane. Like, why do people do this? So yeah, it was kind of, that was a very much love-hate relationship.
Was it a tough year then? That kind of year building up towards senior.
It was tough, yeah, but also fun because you are doing something new. For me, I spent a long time not learning anything new because I'd learned all the skills from such a young age.
Yeah.
So for me, that was like, okay, learning something new, let's focus, let's kind of like get the plans going, ready for next year.
Is that tough in tumbling? Because tumbling, obviously, you've got your fixed whips, round-offs, but then a lot of times for girls especially, it's going to be your double backs and your full fulls and your full ins. And after that, there's not a lot to learn unless you're really going to push the boundaries. Do you find it's tough then with the monotony of it, or is there always something that challenges you in training?
Yeah, I went through a phase of I had the mental block to kind of like keep me busy, if you say. But I did go through a phase of just thinking, I'm literally doing the same runs. Every training sessions, I'm just trying to perfect these routines and trying to work on execution. And it was okay because I was very much like, I don't want to be a scruffy tumbler. So I enjoyed trying to look neater. But there was a point where I was like, this is tedious now. I'm not, I wasn't pushing myself because I still had the kind of mental block to think about every day. But it was a bit tedious just doing the same skills and not, I guess the fun element kind of, you know, when you learn a new skill, it's fun. So I guess not learning a new skill, that element kind of went away.
Yeah. Did you ever think about at any stage, not just when you had the mental block, but like any stage in your junior career, anything, did you look at triple backs or millers or anything like that?
Never so much millers really. I trained it a couple of times. Vov quite enjoyed doing millers. But for me, more so, I think triple back just like really kind of caught my eye and just like it fascinated me that, you know, you see these guys doing it, they're jumping so high and they're rotating so quickly. And when I then found out that, you know, there's not been a female tumbler that has managed to land or compete and land a double straight triple tuck, for me, I was like, I want to do that. I want to be the first person to do that. That'll be so good.
And were you doing it in training?
Yeah, I trained it quite a lot. I mean, it took a lot of persuading Vov to let me even train it. You know, all the other Damien Walters and Craig and a lot of other coaches said, you know, if someone's going to do triple, Lucie can do it. So that was a real like confidence booster. But Vov's not excuse, but he always used to say like, I don't want to ruin your beautiful legs. You know, you've got to be careful. And I understand because it is such a risky move.
Yeah.
Do you
think he had a bit of, because back when Sam was young, in 2004, I think she wrecked her. She dislocated her knee and tore. Did that have an impact, you think, on him?
Yeah, and that I remember him telling me that story actually, and that was when I was learning Miller, and that for me instantly was like, no, like okay, because he used to always say like, don't land short because you're gonna dislocate your knee, and I think that for me straight away was like, no more Millers.
Not a great story to tell you when you're learning.
I know. So yeah, I trained double straight straw back quite a bit. And it's a shame that I never got around to competing. I really wish I would have, and I do believe that I could have. But I totally understand where Bob's coming from. Obviously, his job is to not only coach me, to make sure that I'm keeping safe and healthy. So
yeah. So going into your first senior year, 2013, you obviously went into British. You qualified into the finals in first, but you had a bit of a mistake and came fourth. Did you think at that stage you had qualified to the Worlds, or do you think you'd messed it up or anything?
Yeah, I remember that British. That was awful. I think I was a little bit I was kind of a bit gutted after that because obviously, well, everyone's different, but whenever I kind of had a bad competition, which wasn't often, I just put such a negative bubble like around me. So yeah, when it got announced that I actually made the team, I was really, really shocked. And I thought, oh my gosh, okay, like they obviously think quite highly of me because I just messed up at the trial. So yeah, that was really overwhelming, but really exciting.
That was the first Worlds that Craig Lowther became the head national coach of every discipline.
Yeah.
Did you feel a change when you went to that Worlds in Sofia in Bulgaria? Did it feel different?
I'm 2013. That for me was so different. That competition was, everyone was just a team, and it was like, it was so nice because we'd done internationals before, and I always felt like it was purely, tumblers, trampoline, and DMT. But I guess obviously not communicate, not like knowing each other that much. But yeah, 2013, like I am a very shy person anyway, especially as a kind of in those early teenage years, I was very, very shy. But at that competition, I found myself actually interacting with people off my own back, from trampoline or DMT. And I think there were a few newcomers. There was, me and Yaz. I think there was a few from DMT. So it was really nice to be in like our own little bubble all together, and kind of it was even there was a team final that year as well, I think, and everyone just cheering for you was so nice. And like I don't know, it was that's a hard feeling for me to explain, but it's like a feeling that is really close to my heart.
Yeah, because everyone says that about that year, that it had all been a bit separate that year, but for some reason that year everything just blended as one team, and you were amazing. Can you remember the competition? Can you remember the prelims day? Were you nervous about your first senior competition?
I was, yeah, but then it was really nice because Rachel Letch was there and Jenny Dawes, and for me, especially, well, me and Yaz, definitely, we kind of like, they were the seniors to look up to at the time, and to know that we're in a team with them, I kind of thought, okay, I kind of almost thought that we're safe, like whatever happens, it's okay. And they were very enthusiastic and very kind of like helping us along the way. And, Lucy, don't do too many routines in the training because it's only training. You need to just like, sit out a little bit. So yeah, we had a lot of,
did you get over there thinking, I'm going to show and I'm going to do everything amazing in training, and, us off the energy of it?
Yeah, I was very much like that anyway. Even to my last competition, I was very much like, okay, I need to do not a lot in training, but I was never one to just warm up whips and then be able to do 2 runs. I had to do my routines pretty much.
Yeah.
Just for like, yeah.
I remember because I came over for World Age, and we just as a coach, and we just got to the finals day, and I remember it was the big picture had come back of you in prelims where you smacked the run up and all the chalk had come on around you. Was that like a little ritual before you ran? Yeah,
so that I can't remember when that started. It was definitely earlier on in the year. But my hands just got so sweaty, and I always used to cover in chalk. But then I found that when I covered it in too much chalk, it was then so soft that it wouldn't do anything. So I had to kind of like, spit on my hand and then like get the chalk off. And it was in training and I couldn't get it off. So I literally just like banged my hands on the tape on the training at Pinewood. And yeah, since then it just stuck. It just became like a ritual, I guess.
Yeah, because I remember the picture come out. It was an amazing picture. It's a really, really cool picture. But I remember thinking, people were talking about it, and I remember watching out for it when we were in the crowd going, because I didn't really know who you are because you were just a first-time senior. Yeah. And this is Lucy. This is the girl who hits her hands. So I remember looking out for the end of the track.
I think it was also competitions before that. I used to stand still for ages, and then when it was my go, my legs they wouldn't work. So I always had to keep bending down and make sure that my legs were kind of like alive, if that makes sense. So yeah, I'd bend down, tap my hand, bend down, like kind of like breathe, and then stand up and be like, okay, I'm ready now.
What did it feel like to come away with the silver medal at your first senior Worlds? Like, you mustn't have been expecting that, were you?
We had a World Cup just before the World Championships. I'm sure it's in October in Denmark, and I came second in that behind Fang as well. But there wasn't that many people there. I think there was only I'm pretty sure we didn't even have a final. I think it was 8 people in there, so we automatically finaled and whatnot. So for me, it was nice to be in to have a competition with Fang and the other countries. But yeah, to come away with that silver medal, because I'd had I say awful, it wasn't the best team final. I was meant to do double straight to full four and ended up I think I must have gone wrong somewhere. I did a double pike, and for me, I was just like, nope, not happy.
Were you hard on yourself after bad performances like that?
Oh, definitely, yeah. And it wouldn't go away even now, even if like in Cirque, if I have a bad show, I know everyone's like, there's always tomorrow, it's the same show. But for me, I'm like, I don't know, it's just always a thing, and I can't get rid of it. I've tried so hard, but I just can't.
Is it hard for like your family and for your coaches when you go back to club and stuff? Do you be in a bad mood for a while, or? I
think so, yeah. Not so much in a bad mood that I take it out on them, or I never ever took it out on coaches or family because it wasn't their problem. But for me, I would, it'd be the case where FOF tells me to do 3 things, but I would do 5 because I want to prove to myself that I can't just do 3, I can do more than that, Yeah, coming away with that silver medal was like amazing. And my parents came, my nan and grandpa came, and yeah, I just remember like getting my name called out and just standing on the podium and just like looking at the flag go up thinking, wow, okay, like I was really good as a junior, and like a lot of people used to say, if you're good as a junior, you won't really be good as a senior. People kind of like fizzle out. So that kind of like made me panic.
Because that is a thing. That's a very common thing. People win world age and never make it to senior. So that even just making that transition, you were successful in itself.
Yeah, and obviously people said that when you first go to senior, you're new pretty much. You're the new kid in town. So for me, it's kind of to get my name out there, and also for them to recognize it, and for me to do so well was really good. And I remember coming off the podium, and it was we had to go around the back, and there were loads of photographers, and they'd go, Lucie, Lucie, and I was looking up, and there were all these flashes in my eyes, and for me, I was like, oh my gosh, like this is really surreal. Yeah,
I remember in the crowd as well, there was a lot of talk about obviously it was your first, you were only 17, I think, were you?
Yeah.
And it was your first words, and you'd done so well, qualified in second, and everyone was kind of like, I wonder, can she maintain it? Like, there's a bit more pressure now. And then you went out, got second, didn't even just get second, you got the exact same score that you had got in prelims, I think, as well.
Yeah,
so, like,
I did, yeah.
So it was so consistent. I think it just impressed everyone. Everyone was just like, wow. Yeah, it was amazing. So obviously then Europeans was the following year. And you obviously knew the history of GB as well, not just in the junior teams, but Rachel had won the Europeans before that. Sam Palmer had won the Europeans before that. Did you have a bit more pressure now going, okay, I'm the next of them, I have to win the Europeans? Or what was your thinking on it?
I think, yeah, a little bit like that. And also kind of, I also remember having in the back of my mind that I've just come second at Worlds. Europeans, obviously, there's no China, so technically I could do really well. I remember having that feeling, but I kind of just tried to brush it off and be like, okay, no, just like a normal competition. But that was always in the back of my mind, that to know that I actually had the potential to win.
Yeah.
Because I think going to the World Championships, for me, I was like, I'll 2 runs, be lucky if I final. But yeah, because I then knew that I had the potential, and as my second year going into senior, it made me want like drive for it more, which is a good thing.
But that as well, that Europeans, you were no longer the baby of the team. Because like Rachel went, didn't she? Or Rachel, did she compete that one? I don't think she did. But you and then Rachel Davies had moved up and everything, and so you're no longer the youngest one on the team. Did you feel a bit more responsibility for the younger people on the team?
Yeah, a little bit. So 2014, that was Portugal, right? Yeah. So yeah, that was weird. It was.
And Yasmin was on the team with you as well.
Yeah. That was weird. I still did feel a bit like the young one. Because I think in my head I had that they were the juniors now and we were the seniors. So, but because I don't really know how to explain that. I think I still felt not the baby of the group, but it wasn't until maybe, I can't remember when it was, 2015, where kind of all the seniors started to kind of leave and go. And I was like, oh, actually, like, I'm one of the oldest seniors here. That's a bit weird. So I think, 2014 Europeans, it was still kind of like new to me.
And at that stage, Yasmin made the individual final with you in 2014.
Yeah.
What was it like having her on the floor with you when you won your European title?
That was really cool. So Yaz and I are actually very different, and we figured that out in 2013 in that World Cup I mentioned. So when I'm nervous, I just shut off, don't talk to anyone. Just kind of, if someone asks me something, I'm like, yeah, no, yeah. And Yaz is the complete opposite. She talks when she gets nervous. So like us two together, it was awful. You know, like she's yapping at me, and I'm like, yeah, no. So it was like, we both felt really bad, but we'd already, by that point in Europeans, we'd already figured out that we just have to kind of like ignore each other.
Yeah. Once you know that, did Valve have to get in the middle of you sometimes and kind of separate her so she wasn't speaking to you?
Sometimes, yeah, because Bob is a talker as well when he's nervous. So her and Bob, would like get on really well, and Bob would kind of like know just to say like two things to me and then run off to the end of the track. But Yaz was always a great competitor, and it was so good. I'm so glad that I had her as a teammate for so long, because, you know, especially towards the end, she was, when Valve started to when they only had a couple of coaches go to the internationals, Yaz pretty much became my coach. You know, she knew me, and like, you know, head to toe she knew me. So for her to know how I work and know what someone needs to say to me to make me do something, it was so nice to have her.
What was that like? Because a lot of people I've talked to have been like the only high performance person in their gym. What was it like having Yasmin to train with as well, knowing that you're going for the same goals? Does that make it easier?
I think it did. It was nice to be able to share experiences with her, to come back and reminisce about it, because it almost made that coming back from competitions easier, because everyone goes on a down when they come back from competitions. You know, they're no longer, they've been people for 10 days or 2 weeks or whatever, and they come back to their own gym and think, oh god, like I want to share these memories with people, but there's no one to talk to about it. So to have her in the gym as well, that was a really nice feeling. But also pushing each other, I'd had that luckily from a young age anyway with the girl I mentioned before. And to have to constantly be pushing each other, and like, I don't know, it was nice. Yaz has so much banter as well, so if I was having a bad day, she'd be herself, and it'd make me feel better. So
lift you up a bit.
Yeah.
So after the Europeans, you must have been on a high, and you went into the Daytona Worlds. Obviously, you qualified for the final, but the final wasn't to be. What went on that? Was that the start of your mental block coming in, or what was that just a mistake?
No, that was just a mistake. My mental block came in at the beginning of 2015. So 2014 Worlds was just before. And that was like, that for me was so annoying, because that was the most prepared I've ever been before a competition. You know, like I was training so unbelievably good. And then, I remember I can't remember which one I did. I did either whip double straight or flick double straight first. And I did full in pike, because I was going to do a full tuck, but I thought, oh god, no, I'm too far away. So I thought I'll just do a full in pike, make it really long. And I tell you what, if I'd have been that much further, I would have landed it and probably been fine, and then had the mental kind of capacity to do the next run. But I landed just at the beginning of the mat, but it was still bouncy. So like, it was obviously the end of the track, the beginning of the mat. So you had this spring here, and because I bounced on it, it made me ping forward, and then I just like tapped my hand on the track and thought, oh, for God's sake. And then turned around, presented, and then I think just mentally, because I knew, I was like, even if I do the best run of my life, it's not going to happen. So I did double straight to full straight. I probably shouldn't have done full straight. I probably should have tucked it in, but I thought I'd just whack it around. I landed, and it's almost like my ankle just like rolled in on itself, and then my knee just touched the floor, and then I just pushed myself back up. So it was literally just that, just landed, knee went on the floor, pushed myself back up, and thought, what have I just done? Like, it was such a quick process.
It was a weird final, because like Fang fell or messed up, and a load of people just one after the other kept like messing up. It was
really bizarre.
Was there anything but the track or anything, or was it just one of those days?
I don't know. I think it was just yeah, one of those days really. I'm like, obviously I don't know with Anna and Fang Fang, but yeah, I mean, because we qualified in first, second, and third, and we all messed up. Um,
How
so
did you feel though for Rachelette? Because I was,
oh,
she already knew that was her last competition, didn't she?
yeah, so happy for her. Like, yeah, we'd heard it through the grapevine that, well, I had heard it through the grapevine that it was potentially her last competition, and I was like, she literally, she worked so hard anyway. So for her, when she was still on that podium, I thought, oh my gosh, she's literally left or she's retired on the best possible scenario. So I was absolutely buzzing with her, and she, bless her, she came up to me and apologized after because I've got drug tested after actually as well. I was there for about 4 hours. And
Insulting. Okay.
and yeah, she came and apologized to me after. And I thought, why are you apologizing? Like, it's this competition that happens. Like, you need to be celebrating your success because you've literally just had like an awesome comp.
Competition of life.
Yeah, so that was nice for her though.
So going into 2015, you're saying that's when the mental block happened. How did it kind of creep in?
So we went to Denmark in the February, I think it was, just for a training camp, and we were all playing around with new skills. And I, for some stupid reason, I don't know why, I wanted to learn how, because in my head it was just like a full, or a full in tuck or a back in full, and I knew and I heard that people see it differently, like they do half in, 1.5 out, or they do 1.5 half out, and I was like, wow, I don't see that. For me it's just a full. So I did a lot of progressions and tried to, like, a lot of Cody's and stuff like that, just to try and see if I could break it up differently. Anyway, all fine. We got home. I was playing a game with Christoph of Stoy off trampoline, and we got all the way up to full tuck. We did, double tuck, double pike, double straight, whatever. And we got up to full tuck, and I always do, tuck back and then my dismount. So I went up, did the tuck back, and it was like my head went back, but my body didn't. And immediately I was like, oh, that was weird. Like, that was funny. So I tried it again. The same thing happened. And then I tried again, same thing happened. And I was like, this is really weird. So I was like, oh, I'll just leave it. It was a Saturday, so I was like, I'll leave it. I'll come in Monday, be fine. And then I wasn't thinking about it, but I think it must be in the back of my mind, because come Monday, I was petrified. I was like, why can't I do anything? Like, why can't I do a full forward? This is so strange. And then it just went on from there, really. Like, some days I would do it, some days I wouldn't. And it got so bad that I couldn't even do a full twist. I had to completely teach myself, like, as in, straight back, land, jump, half turn, half twist, jump, half turn. I had to completely teach, well, I say I teach myself. I had a lot of help from coaches. I had to completely reteach myself.
So did you try breaking even the full and everything down and trying to build it back up again? Like, was it even full in back outs and back in full outs? Was everything gone?
It was, at first it was just full, and I could full in and I could back and full nice and easy. But I think the more I worried, the more it just affected me. Like, it was so silly. I could, like, it even progressed onto doing like a transition or a double straight in the middle of the track. It wasn't as bad, but it was just so strange. I felt like my mind was just like deteriorating in terms of like tumbling.
Did you go and see any like sports psychologists or talk to other coaches or people outside the sport about it?
I saw a sports psychologist, but only had like a couple of sessions with her. I had a lot of help from coaches. I had a lot of help from Paddy. I trained, because initially I was like, okay, maybe it's just the gym. Maybe I just need to get out of Pinewood, go somewhere else. So I went to Andover, and had a lot of different feedback from Paddy. Then it was frustrating for both Vov and I, because one day I would do it, one day I couldn't. So for him, he's like, what the hell is this? Why can't you do it one day but you can the next day? So it was very, very frustrating. And I ended up training with Craig prior to before that, actually. I went to a World Cup, and I was like, look, I don't want to go. I cannot go. And I remember I think it was Rachel Davis, said she was injured, I think, so she didn't go. And I said to them, I was like, look, I'm not physically injured, but I'm mentally injured. I cannot go. Like, I will not do this run. And obviously, World Cups, we had to pay for it. So I thought, I'm not going to fork out all this money to pay for a competition I know I'm not going to do good at. And I ended up going to the competition, and I think almost, again, because I could do it one day, couldn't do it the next day, people kind of thought, oh, if you always does well in competitions, you'll just do it. And I ended up competing round off twist to just double puck. And obviously it was a straight run and twisting run. So I think that for Craig especially was like a bit of a kind of, okay, right, if if we want to go to Worlds, then we have to sort something out. So we did a big program. I went up to the initial kind of 4 days of the week, stayed there, trained with him. He was obviously working with the trampolinist in DMT, and yeah, ended up getting full in and back in full, back on track, just kind of nice. And oh no, it wasn't back and full actually. I did a few times, but it was mainly just full in pikes.
I saw your full in pikes because I remember thinking they went full in and then a very quick pike. Was that kind of a little like thing to stop you twisting or to kind of control?
That was just kind of, I thought to myself, all I can do is full in pike. How am I going to make it the best full in pike possible? So I think because that was the only thing I could focus on at the time, I thought, okay, people like to see kickouts at 12 o'clock. So I just thought, let's just try and execute this as best as I can.
But no one did it like that. So I was thinking, because in the code of points, you don't have to kick out.
I know.
I'm thinking, is that maybe a technique for getting the skill back?
Yeah, that's actually quite a clever idea, you know. But yeah, I did a lot of full falls off a fast track and trampoline into pit. So it was in my muscle memory, but never kind of, I didn't want to progress it onto tracks. I thought we're in the stage of preparing for the World Championships. I'm not going to make anything ruin it, because sometimes if I tried a full fall and I did do it, I then went back to square one. I couldn't do anything.
You won British though that year. Did you do it at British, or did you just do the full ins and the back and folds?
I'm not 2015. I don't think I did. I'm pretty sure I just did double pike and full in pike. I'm sure I did. Yeah, and then went to Denmark, the World Championships, and team final was really good and prelims was really good. And I remember going into the individual final thinking, okay, I've made it to this individual final. That's the only thing I wanted to do, so it's perfect. And also my main thing was to do well for the team and kind of be the team player. Yeah, and I did flick double straight, then I did whip flick full in pike. So in my head, because I'd messed up one thing, even though it wasn't obvious at all, like when I watch back the video now, it was so in line and in rhythm that you can't really tell that I did a flick. But straight away I was like, that's it, done, like, ruined it. Not like
because of one little thing.
Yeah, but I think
difficulty, and that was
it. I think because in my head it felt so bad. It wasn't until I watched it at the end I was like, oh my gosh, you can't even see it. Like, you have to really open your eyes. And I remember Christoph trained a lot of time at Pinewood throughout that year, and you know, a couple of years prior to that. So we got on really well. He was a bit like Yaz, knew my kind of schedule in a way as to how I train. And I remember looking back at him and thinking, oh my god, like, what do I do? Is double pike going to be okay, or do I need to do anything else? Because I could push myself to do a full in straight, but it was very much like last resort. Okay. And I remember turning around and he said, he kind of like did all these signals and was like, if you do a pike, you'll get third. And I just remember thinking, oh my god, I don't want to come third. Like, that sounds so selfish, so like selfish of me, and so like unappreciated. That's the first thing that went through my mind. I was like, I'm not coming third. So yeah, I stood at the top of the track, and I said to myself in my head, I was like, hey, I hated whip double straight. So for me, that was such a hit and miss thing. So I said to myself, if this comes out well, I'm doing a full form. I'm just gonna do it. Like, I'm just gonna let's just do it. And it came out really good, and I was oh god. And I remember in the flick snap down, I just went up and did this full. And I landed, and I was like, oh my gosh. And then Craig is there, you know, screaming behind me.
Did he know that you were going to do it?
No. And you can actually see, I ended up, when I came home, I paused the video halfway through the full form. Craig's like, he's so shocked. I think he's thinking, oh my god, is she gonna break her neck? What's she gonna do? So yeah, he was just as shocked as what I was. And then I presented, and I remember seeing my mum and dad. They were just kind of like just sat above the judges, and Craig, I can't remember what Craig said. It was something along the lines of you little, you know, I'm not going to say that word. and then he just hugged me and said, see, I told you we'd get here. And immediately, I just got shivers saying that, but immediately he just started crying. I
remember, yeah, you walked back up and
yeah, it was just so like, and I was a crier, like in training. If I couldn't do something, I would cry, so frustrated. But I never wanted, or never wanted to do it on a competition floor, but this just wouldn't stop coming out. I literally could not stop crying. And yeah,
was that feeling of doing the full better than the medal?
100%, yeah. And like to this day, that silver medal will beat any other gold medal I have. Like, yeah, 100%. It was just such a, like, I wish I could do it now, because I don't know, obviously I still have these problems, but it was just such a feeling that the year I'd had has just paid off. I think more so a feeling that I had overcome something that, you know, some people, a lot of people might have known that I'd had. Yeah, and then straight away I came off the competition floor and called Vov, and just, I didn't even say anything, I just started crying, and he was like, oh, I'm really proud of you. And yeah, it was just, yeah, that medal definitely any gold medal.
Did it feel good as well? Because obviously you always name Colebeck as one of your idols.
Yeah.
How did it feel to beat her? Like you were ahead of her in the World Championship.
That was, yeah, because I remember when she obviously was retired, and then she announced that she was coming back in 2014. And I think that might have also had a bit of an impact as to why I was so nervous for that competition. And yeah, to end up beating her, I think that didn't sink in until after I came back, and I was, you know, looking through my phone, oh my god, the podium pictures, because I think for me it was so overwhelming doing the full four. That was all that was going on in my head. But yeah, when I realized that I actually beat her, I kind of thought, oh my gosh, like I've been watching this girl on YouTube for like ages, and she's like 4 times world champion, and she's just like an incredible gymnast. And for me to beat her, I was shell shocked. You know, it was crazy.
I remember, because I've had a gymnast with really bad skill confusion stuff before, and when we're talking through, we talk about the post you put up on Instagram afterwards, and it was like that bravery for, I think you said like 10 seconds of bravery and everything that comes out of that.
Yeah.
And you know, we always talked about that and referenced it, because it is true. It's just, if you can muster up the bravery and the self-control for those 10 seconds, the results, like the feeling is elation, and it's on top of the world.
Yeah, no, definitely. And kind of, yeah, I actually still use that kind of quote as a reason to kind of go forward. Like, because even now, it's, you know, I don't think the mental block will ever go. It's something that is kind of with me now forever in my gymnastics career. But yeah, definitely that kind of, yeah, all you have to do is just push through a little bit, and yeah, the outcome can be amazing.
In 2016, did you still have this? Did it get a lot better, or did you just kind of work your way around it?
I just worked my way around it. The fill-ins and back and falls were comfortable. I never really, I kind of said to myself that I wouldn't train full unless I had that light bulb come on. So there'd be some days where I call it a light bulb, because it was so quick. It was like, okay, you can do it now. If you don't do it now, then you won't do it for the rest of the week, or example like that. So yeah, when I had that light bulb switch and I felt inside that I could do it, that was when I would do it. But other than that, I wouldn't really train it.
Good. It removes the negative process from it.
Yeah, definitely. I think because it was so stressful, I didn't want to have another year like I just had, because it was just, you know, it was a year that I first time contemplated giving up, because it was I didn't want to give up. I'm never like I don't like to quit anything, but I felt just like this cloud was just constantly over my head, and it was horrible. You know, it was affecting like my everyday life. So I thought, yeah, let's eliminate it, and if I feel like I can do it, then let's do it. But if not, it doesn't matter. You don't need it. It's not a necessity. And
did, like you said, you were so close to quitting. Did you ever take space away from the gym? Did you ever take time away from the gym, or did you always go to training?
I mean, I think the most I ever took was like a week off, maybe. Yeah, for me, it was like, if I take time off, just to take time off, then it's not going to help. I'm just going to sit here thinking about it and worrying about it. So I might as well go to the gym and actually try and fix it. So I think that also for me was a bit of an eye-opener, the fact that I didn't actually want to quit then, because I couldn't hack being at home. Yeah.
In 2016, you were still successful. You had silver medal at the Europeans. But obviously, you had the gold medal in the team. And that was the day that you made history by winning every single team title. What did that feel like? Did you get the gravity of it, like it was history making?
I think when they were talking about it, like, oh my God, like what if I was a bit like, oh, okay, like it's like, okay, it's not a big deal, let's just get on with the competition, guys. But after, when there was so much like media kind of, it was like, I don't know, it was crazy, this whole kind of, you know, even all the coaches were saying it, all the trampoline DMT people, and it was just like, that was a real feel good moment to, I felt like Great Britain kind of was so powerful at that time, especially in tumbling. It was, you know, a real kind of, especially for the juniors. I mean, it was a booster for me, but I can't imagine what it was like for the juniors. But yeah, that was
my first time out there and everything, and the girls were expected to win, but the boys, you know, were probably fighting for second and probably happy enough with that. But that feeling was really, really good. I remember there were so many pictures taken, so like it was crazy. It was really good. Yeah, it was amazing. I was watching. I was in the crowd that day, and it was just amazing to watch. How did you, later on in 2016? Didn't you end up going to the Olympics to perform in the galas?
Yeah. I remember.
How did that come about?
I don't know. I honestly, I don't know. I didn't even know there was a gala, if I'm honest with you.
Sometimes there isn't, I think.
Yeah, no idea. But I was actually in Nando's at the time, and I got a call from Craig, and I was sat down, and I was like, oh God, Craig never calls me. Like, I've got to answer it. So I answered it, and he said it, and I was like, I walked back into Nando's like, with my plate half eaten, and I was with my friend, and I was like, you'll never guess where I'm going in a month's time. And she was like, where? I was like, we're going to Rio. She was like, what? I was like, I'm doing something at the Olympics. And straight away we were like, oh my gosh. And we were there for 4 or 5 days. And oh my gosh, the whole time was just like, it still to this day, I cannot believe that I was in that Olympic arena.
Did you get to go around the Olympic Village and everything? And did you get to have that kind of athlete experience a little bit?
We did a little bit. Like we went, I feel like we could have done more, but we were only there for 4 days, obviously. We saw lots of diving. We watched obviously the gymnastics. We saw Niall win his medal and Max win his numerous medals. So yeah, that was really, for me, that was like, wow. I think also because most people in the world watch the Olympics. So for me to kind of be there, let alone doing a performance at the Olympics, I was like, wow, this is incredible. I really felt like that kind of we showed the art of tumbling, and people were really, really surprised by it. And there were, you know, the crowd was amazing. When we only had, I think maybe like a 5-minute, 5-minute window. But yeah, people loved it, and it was really nice to kind of meet all the gymnasts, you know, the likes of Simone Biles, Ali Raisman, you know, everyone. It was just nice to see them kind of chill out, because obviously they'd finished competing by then. They were just kind of in the warm-up gym, just hanging out. They were just normal people, really.
Yeah, you put them up on a pedestal, don't you? And then when you meet them, you're like, they're just the same as you. They go to the gym, they train all their lives to be the best. It's the same thing.
Yeah.
At least you can say you're one of the few tumblers ever to have performed tumbling at the Olympics.
I know, that's crazy. That'll definitely be a trip that will stay with me for the rest of my life.
So see, the following year then at the tumbling Olympics, the World Games, did that feel, because obviously we always call it in DMT, we call it our Olympics. I'm not sure if tumblers say the same thing.
Yeah, with the name,
It's a multi-sport games, and it's our pinnacle of our sport. It's every 4 years. Mm-hmm. Did it feel similar to the feeling in the Olympic Village when you were over in Rio?
I don't think so. It honestly, it felt like, because the GB team was so small, it was only us, 2 DMT, and the sports acro guys, just us staying in that hotel. So for me, that felt really like a small international. Then obviously, and even training, actually, the training was so weird. It was scheduled in 2 countries per session. So I'm pretty sure we were with.
So that's only 4 gymnasts.
Yeah, that's what I mean. It was 4 gymnasts. I felt like a hamster in a wheel. I just kept going and going and going. So yeah, I think that felt so chilled out. And I trained with Elliot leading up to the 2015 World Championship. So for us to train together, just us 2, wasn't abnormal for me. And he's a great laugh as well. His banter is brilliant.
Did you get close to the DMT and acro guys?
Yeah, we went with, Kirsty was there. It was
Andrew and Kirsty.
Yeah, Andrew, Kirsty, yeah. and that I really enjoyed that. I shared a room with Kirsty and Elliot with Andrew, and we bonded really well. And the acro guys as well. Yeah, it was really nice to bond with different people. Yeah, I really enjoyed it.
What was kind of your goals going into that?
I think I'd already made it, if I'm honest. I kind of thought, I'm here, so this is like, now treat this as an experience. You know, you've been chosen as the one girl to compete for your country. And yeah, I kind of just pushed myself to try and get to the final, try and do 2 nice final routines. I didn't really have expectations. I kind of was fed through information that I could do really well, and like if this happens. But for me, I kind of just wanted to take it easy. And I did that. I did mess up a little bit on my second pass. I say mess up, I just stepped 1 foot onto the track. Which is kind of annoying because the margin was so small between bronze and silver that if I didn't do that, I probably would have got second. But yeah, but I mean, I was behind Fang and Anna. For me, like those 2 gymnasts, they're just, yeah, like I said, they're
2 of the top gymnasts in the history of the sport. So
100%, yeah. For me, I felt a privilege to be on that podium with them too.
How did it feel compared to the World Championship podiums?
It was the first thing that made me know that it was a bigger deal. We went on the podium in tracksuits.
Okay.
So it wasn't like, it wasn't like a leotard or anything. It was, sophisticated tracksuit on, and for me, I was like, oh, this is really strange. But it felt, being on that podium just felt bigger and better. And I remember looking across to Volf, he came out and watched the competition, and it just gave me a big thumbs up, and I just his smile was beaming, so it was really nice.
Sure. If like at the end of 2017 going into 2018, did you know that was going to be the end of your career? Had you already planned that?
No. So 2017 World Championships in Bulgaria, a lot of people had said to me because that was I only just made it into the final.
You were 9th, wasn't it? You were in the first group of qualifying, and it was just a shocker, wasn't it? Yeah.
That was a very weird competition. But anyway, we went there, and a lot of people could have said to me, like, you don't look like yourself. You kind of just, I don't know, you look really different when in the prelims. And I thought, I do feel we're different. And I spoke to Charlie Burrows, who used to train at Pinewood as well. And
he's also a talent scout for certain.
Yeah. And I kind of spoke to him and said, I think I'm done. It was at this point where I thought, like, it's getting a bit tedious now. I've done these runs for my whole senior career, really, or had the potential to do them. And I just thought, like, I think I'm ready just for a change. And I didn't think anything of it, if I'm honest. I thought, I'll be, after this competition, I'll be going back to the gym to work on next year's competition. And then, that final was like, I think I did blog about that as well, that I hadn't done those 2 runs in the same final for a long time. So that for me was really overwhelming. But I kind of, going into 2018, I kind of had an inkling that the end of the year would be maybe where I retired. But I didn't know it'd be so early on in the year. So, it was...
How did it come about? Did Charlie then contact you and say, listen, there's an opportunity coming?
Yeah, so he... sorry, I'm just making sure my laptop is charging. He kind of approached me at the beginning of the year. Sorry, my charger isn't working, so I'm just going to have to... Oh, there you go. Okay. So he approached me like near the beginning of the year and said, this is potentially what might happen. We don't know yet. And it wasn't until kind of like the end of March, April time that I knew that Allegria was coming back, and I had to send in a lot of videos and a lot of kind of specific training. So yeah, going to Europeans, I kind of had a feeling that it could be my last international, depending on, they still hadn't set a date for when Allegria was going to start. So yeah, I kind of went into that competition just trying to have fun, really. And I kind of said to myself that Vov actually came to this competition, which was the first time he'd been at an international in a long time. So I thought that's a good reason to have fun. And also I forced myself to take in everything else for once, because for me competition was very much like tunnel vision. You look at the track, don't look at anything else. So yeah, it was kind of, sorry, my child has not worked again. So for me, I know, it's on its way out, needs a new one. So yeah, for me, it was kind of just taking every other aspect really and have fun and enjoy it, and that's what I did, and it paid off really well.
How special was it to win the individual European title with Vov beside you then?
Oh,
your last title.
Yeah, that again, I didn't go into that final. I think I qualified in 4th maybe or 5th. It wasn't top 3 anyway. So for me, again, I thought, bugger it, like that's it. I'm not doing well. Like, just forget it. So that was another reason for me to just think, you got nothing to lose, Luce. Like, give it your all, have fun. And I remember actually doing the first run, and I did the second run. And I did full straight. I did back and forth full straight, and I turned around to Bob, and I literally just went. You can see on the video, I just go like that, as if to say, like, okay, I've done all I can. Let's just see where we are on the table. But I've done all I can. I could not have done any better. And then I remember walking past, and Elliot kind of like gave me a nod, like, because I told Elliot it could be my competition, so he was very much kind of emotional with me. And then I looked at my mum, and she just, before actually, sorry, this is like a very important moment in my career. Before I did the final run, because I think at that point I was still lying in 4th place maybe, and I looked up my mum, and all I heard her lip read was "Come on, Luce." And for me, like, I don't know, I just got like shivers down me. She's my number 1 fan. She's not missed any, like, I think she missed 1 international my whole career. So yeah, and then as I walked back after finishing that routine, I looked up my mum and did the same thing. I just kind of said, like, I've done all I can, let's see where we are. And I remember sitting down on the sofa, and Megan had gone, and then Tachina had gone, Anna had gone, I can't remember who else was there, but as everyone had finished, all I saw in position 1 and 2, I just saw the GB flag. So I thought, okay, I'm either 1st or 2nd, like, wow. And then I moved across because the trampolines were in my way, and I saw my name was next to number 1, and I just thought, oh my God, like, how have I done that? How have I gone from yeah, I mean, yeah. And then immediately again, I just started like kind of tearing up a little bit, and I just saw Bob run straight towards me, and I ran, gave him a card, and I just thought, like, I haven't had that when I've done well in recent competitions. I hadn't had that kind of, my personal coach there, and had that interaction. So for me, that was a moment that no one could take away from me at that time. It was such a phenomenal moment to have my coach, just to have, just to have his hug there, and for him to say, I'm proud of you, and hear that not on the end of the phone was just really, really, yeah.
Did he know you were finishing then as well?
We did plan on doing the British Championships, and also potentially doing Worlds. Again, we didn't know when we were going to start the show. So yeah, I think he knew from my reaction that it was my last international. Yeah, I think I was overwhelmed for a lot of reasons. I think he knew that as well. But yeah, like I said, we did plan to do the British Championships, but I ended up just rolling my ankle a couple of weeks prior to it. And we both just said, and my head wasn't really in the game as well. And we both just said, look, for health reasons, if you're going to be going to a job soon, you need to be 100%. Let's just not risk it.
Because I remember at the closing banquet of that competition, that's when you kind of told all the team that you were probably, and the tears and the crying.
I know. That was really overwhelming actually as well. One thing that I took away from that competition is that I didn't realise how much of an impact I have had on like in the tumbling side of all of it. And yeah, Tracy, I spoke to Tracy and I told her, and she helped me a lot during my mental block actually, and kind of helped me with all kind of new programs along with Craig and along with other coaches. And yeah, you know, she just said, you said you're such a great human being. You've had such an impact on tumbling, not just in Great Britain either. And that for me, I thought like I've been doing my whole career for obviously myself, other people as well, but I didn't realise how much of an impact I have had. And that was when I kind of, the realization came, and I thought, wow, like people, I always hoped that people would remember my name. And I feel like all the conversations I had with many coaches and many gymnasts at that banquet, I felt like they will remember Lucie Colebeck. And for me, that was a really nice feeling.
So you felt content with your career at that stage? Yeah,
I definitely felt like I'd had an impact. And I felt like I'd not changed the world, you know, but I felt like I'd inspired.
Well, when I was coming to do these and I knew I wanted to do all three disciplines, straight away when I thought of tumbling, it was you, Christoph and Sam, because they're the people I think, you know, really impacted me in terms of I'm an international judge for tumbling as well, because I really enjoy it. And they were the three people that you are the three people that I really appreciated and looked up to in the sport. So what would have been your fave moment over your whole career then? One favorite moment.
That is really tough.
Sorry, or two. You can have two. Okay.
I think one of them has definitely got to be 2013 Worlds. Just the competition itself and the social side of it. I mean, it was so fun. Everyone bonded. We all prepared like a dance for the banquet, and we all had like the one room that we would train in. So yeah, that for me definitely was such a big highlight. And I think World Games got to be the other one. Like, I got to the pinnacle of our sport, and I did really well, the best I could have done, and it managed to get me a bronze medal. So
obviously now tumbling has opened up a whole new world to you, and you're in Cirque du Soleil. What show are you in?
I'm in Alegria.
And what are you doing in the show?
So I do power track.
Oh, so it's basically it's right up your street.
Yeah. But there's a lot of acting involved, a lot of dancing. So it's like that's opened a whole other can of worms.
Does it feel very different to being an athlete?
It feels really different. I mean, we have our training sessions and we do all of our skills, but then doing the show, it's almost like the tumbling isn't the most important part. That's how I feel anyway. Obviously, we have the acts, and power track is one of the main acts, and people look at it for the tricks and the somersaults and whatnot. But I feel like the acting side of it and being in that character and performing as you can, I feel like that is a bigger side of it than the gymnastics.
Yeah, because when you go to see Cirque, people who are Joe Soap, if you do a big high straight back, they're probably as impressed by that as doing a triple back.
Yeah, definitely, yeah. And I realised that kind of, you know, whenever I used to watch Cirque shows, and especially in the power track, or if there was an air track or trampolining, I used to always think, like, why are they not doing any triples? Come on, why are they not doing this? Why are they not doing that? They could do so many more tricks. But to sustain that and do it for, 10 shows a week, that's actually quite hard work. And I mean, I give them credit now. So yeah, even if you are just doing like a double tuck or even like a double twist, like that's hard enough.
Have you had any injuries from it? Because I would imagine doing that much performance and there might be a certain amount of injuries.
No, touch wood, I've been lucky. When we were in the training period, so creating the show, I just from rolling my ankles all the time, I had small bits of bone that were floating around, and it caused my foot to jar a lot. I had a minor operation just to get rid of those floating bones. But yeah, that's it really. Since then, been all good. We get very well looked after. There's physios there, there's massage available, so you're treated very, very well.
And where are you based now when you're doing the show?
So we were in Houston, Texas. So we're a touring show. So we spend about kind of 5 weeks to up to 3 months in each city. So yeah, constantly touring around, which is nice.
And is your partner with you the whole time now?
Yes. So during Montreal, she wasn't. That was kind of tough. But then she ended up taking a sabbatical from work, which she was lucky enough to get granted for a year, which would have ended in July, but it's obviously been on pause now. So hopefully when we go back, she'll be able to kind of press play again and we'll go from there.
Cool. Right, we'll probably finish that in a second before your laptop dies. I can see you holding the...
No, I'm like, oh no!
Last couple of questions just. The impact that your coach has had on your career and probably your life, what would be the biggest impact?
Oh, wow.
Sorry, hard one.
Yeah, that's really tough. Biggest impact. I think just he's just taught me so much stuff other than tumbling. You know, like out of things that he's taught me, tumbling is probably like way at the bottom. You know, like respect, leadership, values, just a real variety of things that has helped me grow up as a woman. And I'm sure my parents won't mind me saying this, but Vov brought me up. You know, my parents did their job in terms of schooling and whatnot. Vov also said, you know, school is first. He's such, even on his list sometimes, tumbling was kind of really at the bottom. I felt like he aimed to teach us so much more than just tumbling, and he did. And for that, I could not be more grateful.
And outside of your coaches, who was your biggest support? Probably, especially your emotional support in the sport? Or your biggest supporter?
Yeah, I think like my number one fan is definitely my mum, but she was never the person I went to if I had a bad session, because she was also very emotional. So, or she was like, "Oh, just get on with it. Tomorrow's another day." I think friends I went to mostly. Emily, who I trained with from a younger age, who knew Vov as well, knew how he worked, but was no longer in the gymnastics environment. And also my dad. My dad was, I remember when I was younger, you know, if I'd ever had a bad day, I used to be half an hour late from going home. I used to always get in the car, crying my eyes out. And all he would do is just pat me on the leg and say, you know, like, Lucie, you're tough. You're a tough character. You can get through it. And as much as similar to my mum, as much as I didn't tell him when I had a bad day, he always knew if I did, even if I wasn't crying. Like, how was training? Good. Was it? Yeah, it was good. But he wouldn't say anything. I think just having his presence there and having him just give me that pat on the shoulder, that was a really big kind of help. Like, that was a really good big support that I needed.
He knew what you needed to do.
Yeah,
he knew what you needed at the time. So if you had to give one piece of advice to a gymnast coming through now who's starting their journey, what would it be?
It sounds very cliche, but just push through, never give up. Like, there's, you know, there'll be so many kind of blocks that get in your way, whether that's mental blocks or whether that's injury. Just know that there is something on the other side of it. And yeah, just have fun. Like, I wish that I treated my last Europeans as every other competition and took in all the experiences, because there's so much that you miss out on that you're not aware of when you're so fixated on doing well and doing your routine. Yeah, like the biggest memories I have aren't just the medals. They're the memories behind it are just kind of the team and creating the memories all together. So yeah, I think, yeah, that's the main one.
Okay, I'll probably leave it there then, because I think we're a good bit on time now. But it's been amazing talking to you, Lucie. I think you've had an amazing career, and you have had a big impact on the world of tumbling, and probably will continue to have for everyone coming through. So thanks very much for talking to me today.
Yeah, thanks for having me, and yeah, I appreciate it. Thank you.
No, you're welcome. And I'm sure, hopefully, we'll see you again soon at some international